A Chinese fishing boat with 16 crew on board was released by its North Korean captors on Tuesday after being held for 2 weeks. The boat's owner, Xuejun, who wasn't aboard at the time, told Huanqiu newspaper that the crew members were all well. Other media reports even said that the men would resume fishing for a couple of weeks before returning to their home port of Dalian. While Yu says the boat was taken on May the 5th in international waters, word of the incident only became public over the weekend, and that was when the Chinese government demanded that North Korea release the boat. So far, Chinese officials have not said whether they believe the armed captors were operating on their own or under the orders of the North Korean government. Yu added that the captors had originally demanded a $100,000 ransom, and when they released the boat, most of the diesel fuel, along with other goods, had been stolen. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Hong Lei insisted at a regularly scheduled news conference that no ransom was paid. And this isn't the first time that this sort of thing has happened. In fact, just a year ago, 3 Chinese fishing boats with 29 crew aboard were detained for 13 days, during which the fishermen were robbed and physically abused by armed North Korean captors. So how have Chinese net users reacted to this seeming act of piracy? Well, to find out, let's head over to the newsroom now, where our researcher Esther Dung is standing by. Well, first, Esther, at least these 16 Chinese fishermen have finally been released and are safe, so I guess there'll be some relief at that news.
Oh yes, net users certainly consider it's good news that their countrymen are finally free again and there were no fatalities or serious injuries, although there are reports that the captain was bitten when the boat was first taken. But at the same time, plenty of posters felt rather confused and quite angry, I have to say, since they feel that there's a lot being kept secret here, essentially that the Chinese public is being kept in the dark. For example, Tan Yu asks on gucheng.com. So why did North Korea finally change its mind and let our fishermen go? And how sad that our foreign ministry had to keep boasting that no ransom has been paid? And this poster Suowei on infz.com is confused as well. Why didn't either China or North Korea give the reason behind the release? Is it possible that our government paid the ransom secretly? And also Mi Lu, who says, their fuel was stolen and they've suffered huge losses during this fishing busy season. Who will be responsible for that? We do have the boat back, but is that the end of it then?
Now, so this incident only came to light over the weekend because you, the owner, who had reported the seizure to the Chinese authorities long before, actually went public because he felt the deadline for paying that ransom was approaching. I guess that must have caused some comment.
Well, sure, but before answering that, I'd like first to explain how that happened. Xuejun, the boat owner you mentioned, opened a microblog account on Tencent, something like Twitter, on May 18th. That was 13 days after the seizure. He wrote a post detailing what happened to the boat and called for help from both Chinese net users and the foreign ministry. And now this made lots of posters extremely unhappy with the ministry, like Mu Ran, who asks, the fishing boat was taken on May 5th, and you turned to our foreign ministry and our embassy in North Korea for help on 10th, but still no result after a week. Then he turned to the internet and the media, and just 2 or 3 days later, the boat is released. So is it only when huge public and media pressure is involved that our government buzzed to pay attention? And there's another post widely circulating online. It's from Xuejun, a reporter from the Huanqiu newspaper who has over 1 million followers on his Tencent microblog account. On May the 19th, Qiu wrote, the boat owner told me that some relevant staff in some relevant department even asked him to pay some money and solve the problem as soon as possible. And 1 hour later, he posts another piece, which says the same relevant staff telephoned Yu and tore into him for letting the media know the story.
Well, that's certainly not going to go down well in some quarters, I would guess. Now, as I said, this is not the first time this has happened, yet North Korea is supposed to be an ally of China's with a special relationship. Anything on this aspect of it?
Oh, yes, and the comments vary from puzzlement to complete frustration. Hui Ge from Benxi says, I just can't stand it. Is this the so-called friendship with North Korea that we forged at the expense of our soldiers' lives and blood? And Zhu Zhiyong on Weibo.com has a list of incidents. In 2004, a North Korean warship ran down 2 Chinese fishing boats, and 1 fisherman was killed. In 2005, 3 similar attacks happened to our boats in our waters. In 2011, North Korea's Coast Guard boats attacked our fishing boat, and 3 Chinese fishermen were killed. Last year, they hijacked our fishing boat and detained our people. Now this year, the same thing happens again. But has our government ever done anything? And actually, lots of posters are talking about who's actually behind all these incidents. The popular web portal QQ.com published a feature on this topic, and it concludes the culprits probably come from the North Korean army. But whether their actions were approved by the North Korean authorities is still unclear.
Okay, then why do posters of net users here think that these seizures of Chinese fishing boats by North Korea happen again and again?
As for the reasons, I've seen quite a range of opinions. First, a certain number of posters believe that poverty in North Korea is a key reason. Qing Dan Pinghe says on club.china.com, when you are hungry, you will do any kind of thing. While some think Chinese fishermen themselves aren't completely innocent, Huanqiu has this take. It's no news that our fishermen often fish in others' waters. I think that's one important reason why they are often detained, not only by North Korea, but also countries like Russia and South Korea. And also, some net users mention a special fee that the Chinese fishermen are supposed to pay to fish in North Korean waters. The Timely Weekly newspaper published a story on this murky area. But in short, it's an official fee Chinese fishermen are supposed to pay for the North Koreans to turn a blind eye. The newspaper says it can range to tens of thousands of dollars, and that plenty of Chinese boats are detained by North Korea because they haven't paid. And last but not least, many posters think Chinese government's lack of action has encouraged North Korea. Although the boat owner thanked the foreign ministry on his blog in the end, plenty of posters feel their attitude has also contributed to these incidents. I'll wrap up with this warning from Chen Xiongfei V. Hao. Up till now, the case hasn't been fully resolved. If this is the end, then it's very likely we will see more similar cases happening again.
Okay, thanks for that, Esther. And that was China Take researcher Esther Dung with online reaction here in China to the release of a Chinese fishing boat by North Korean captors after around 2 weeks. Next up on China Take, some of the top trending phrases on China's most popular search engines.